Hello everybody, Tommy here, and welcome back to the Learning SQL series. So in this video, I will be teaching you how to connect a sample database to MySQL Workbench, and then I'll be showing you how to apply a lot of the most common and useful commands in the SQL language. So with that all being said, let's get right into it. So to connect a sample database to MySQL, the first thing that you want to do is go to mysqltutorial.org/mysql-sample-database.aspx/. So once you go to that link, you'll scroll down to where it says download MySQL sample database. So you'll click on that, and then just wait a bit for it to download. And then you can click on it once it downloads to show it in your files. And then what you'll do is you'll go to your downloads folder, and you'll right click on the folder for the sample database that you just downloaded, and then you'll click extract all, then extract. So after that you can head over to MySQL Workbench, and where we left off in the last tutorial was over here where you have a connection that you opened up. So over here you should see an administration tab and a schemas tab. So you're going to click on the schemas tab if it's not already there, and to connect the sample database to MySQL Workbench, you're going to right click under where it says SYS, and then click create schema, and then you can just name it whatever you want, and then you'll go down here and click apply, and then apply, and then finish. You can just close that out. Then you'll click up here where it says server, click data import, and then click where it says import from self-contained file, and click the three dots over here, and click on the SQL text file of the database that you just downloaded. And then for default target schema, you're going to click the down arrow and then choose the one you just created, which for me is called example. Then you'll press the tab key on your keyboard exactly 3 times, and then click the enter key. And after a few seconds, the sample database should import. So then you'll go back over here where it says query 1. And to show that the sample database is connected to MySQL Workbench, you can type in show databases, then a semicolon, and then press Control-Shift-Enter. And the sample database is called Classic Models. So if it shows up when you do all of that, then you're on the right track. Control-Shift-Enter is just a keyboard shortcut for basically running the code that you typed. Alternatively, you can go up here where it says query and click execute. Up here where it says query and just click execute all or selection. So basically this command right here just shows the databases that are connected to MySQL Workbench. And in SQL, all commands end in a semicolon, which is why I typed a semicolon after, because if you don't, then that's not correct syntax and it's just not going to work. Now that you know that this database is connected, the next thing we're going to type in is just to use classic models, which is the name of the sample database that we downloaded. Make sure to press semicolon, and then you're going to run that code. Basically what that does is just indicates that classic models is the database that we're dealing with, so that we're not accidentally doing things to the wrong database. So now that your computer knows that classic models is the database that you're using, you can get rid of this and type in show tables. The tables are basically just the different groups of information that databases are made of. So when you run that code, it basically shows all the different sections in the classic models database. Okay, so now that you see all of the tables in the classic models database, what we want to do is access a specific table. So to do that, we can use the select command. Basically how it works is we type the word select, and then an asterisk, and then from, and then the name of the table that we're going to be dealing with, which in this case we'll deal with the first one, customers. So we'll just type in customers, and then semicolon, and then run the code. And you may notice that it returns the whole customers table. Sometimes you may only want to return specific columns rather than a whole table. So what you can do is, instead of typing an asterisk with the select command, you can type in the names of the columns offset by commas. So for example, we can do customer name, comma, and over here you can see there's a column called country, so we can do country, and then run this code, and you may notice it'll only return customer name and country. Sometimes when coding in SQL, you'll want to write comments to basically make your code easier to understand. So what we can do here is, if the comment is 1 line long, we can put 2 dashes, and then put space, and then type something that'll, type whatever we want pretty much. So let's say we could type in return customer name and country, so that we know that that's what this code is doing. Sometimes you'll want to write a comment that's more than 1 line long, and the 2 dashes won't work for that. So what you can do is type in a slash like that, and then an asterisk to start it, and then you can just type in like whatever you want the comment to include. So this text will be ignored, for example. And then at the end, we can just type in an asterisk, and then a slash like that, and basically all the text between here and here will be ignored. So when we run the code, it'll just do the same thing as before. An extension to the select command is basically only selecting distinct values. So what I mean by that is, let's say we want to select all of the different countries in the customers table, but we don't want to repeat ones that have already been returned. So what we can do is use the distinct command. So all we have to do is type in the word distinct and then the name of the column, in this case country, and then run the code, and you'll notice it'll give all the different countries and never repeat a single one. Another common command is the count command, which basically counts how many there is of something. So for example, let's say we wanted to count the amount of distinct countries. All we have to do is type in the word count, and in parentheses, whatever we're trying to find the amount of, and then it actually gives us the number 27. A lot of times you'll only want to return rows that meet a certain condition. So what we can do here, for example, we'll go back to selecting the whole table, and let's say over here we only want to return the rows with the credit limit greater than 100,000. So what we can do is, before typing the semicolon, you can use the where command by just typing in the word where, and then credit limit greater than 100,000. So then when we run this, it'll only return the rows with credit limit greater than 100,000. In this case, the greater than sign is called a comparison operator, and basically SQL has a few comparison operators that you can use, which are useful for finding what you want. So the other ones include equal, which is just denoted by the equal sign, less than, which is just denoted by the less sign. There's greater than or equal to, which is denoted like this. There's less than or equal to, which is denoted like this. And there's not equal to, which is denoted like that. Sometimes you'll only want to return rows that meet multiple conditions that you specify. So for example, let's say we only want to return the rows where the country is France. So we can do country equals, and then with single quotes around the text we type, France. However, we also want the city to not be Paris. So we could say and we'll use the not command here. So not city equals Paris, and then when we run this, you'll notice it'll return all of the rows which have France as the country and Paris is not the city. Sometimes you'll want to specify multiple conditions and then have your rows meet one condition or the other, and not necessarily need to meet both. So for example, what we can do here is have the country equal USA, or have the country equal Australia. So you can type in or country equals Australia, and then when you run it, you can see that the only rows returned are the ones with country as USA or Australia. Sometimes if you're typing a lot of similar conditions, like country equals one country or another country or another country, it could take a while and you'll want to use a shortcut. So for that we can use the in command. Basically how it works is, after we type in the column name, we type in, and then in parentheses all of the possible conditions for for the rows returned to meet. So for example, we could do USA, make sure to surround it by single quotes, and then separate the conditions by commas. So we could do Australia, and close the parentheses, and then run the code. And then it'll do the same thing as last time, only returning the rows with country as USA or Australia. Also, if you want to use the not command with the in command, all you have to do is just type in not before the word in, and then it'll return the rows that don't meet the specified conditions. So, as you can see, none of the rows returned have USA or Australia as the country. An extension to all of this basically allows us to deal with multiple tables. So, to show you what I mean, first let's return everything from the employees table, which is also part of the classic models database. So you might notice the first name column here, and let's say for whatever reason you only want to return the rows from the customer, the customers table that have a first name that is also listed in the employees table. So what we can do is start it out with select from customers, and then where basically we would do contact first name in, and then we would just select the first name from the employees table, and then when you run the code, it would only return the rows with certain first names, which are the ones that appear in the employees table. Another very common command in SQL is the order by command, which basically orders the entries by a specific column. So for example, let's just say we want to order the customers table in alphabetical order of the contact's first name. So we can just use the order by command, which is we just type in the words order by, and then contact first name. And then when we run the code, it'll actually order the table in alphabetical order of the contact's first name. But by default, SQL orders things in ascending order. But let's say for whatever reason we wanted this in descending order. All we would have to do is, before the semicolon, take in the 4 letters DESC, and then you'll notice it'll start from the other end of the alphabet. You can also choose multiple columns to order the entries by, in case some of the rows have the same values for one of the columns. So for example, in this table there are multiple people named Roland. So let's say after ordering the table by the first name, we wanted to order the table by the last name. So what we can do is just separate them by commas, so contact first name, and then just contact last name. And then you'll just run the code, and it'll order them in alphabetical order of first name. Then you'll notice with things like 2 Alexanders, like the one that comes first in alphabetical order, will always be first. So if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. But there is one thing I want you to do. Please, if you have a chance, fill out the SurveyMonkey down below in the description, because that'll help me a lot. In the next video, I will be continuing to discuss a lot of the most helpful commands in SQL so that you can expand your SQL knowledge. But besides that, that's about it. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.